Greetings from the Simulacrum. I think I have to explain the show. Greetings from the Simulacrum, where I explore the simulacra across the world. Where we explore the simulacra of the world. Greetings from the Simulacrum, where we explore the simulacra around the world. I just haven't done this in so long.
Right, that's not really about the simulacra.
The worlds within worlds all around the world. Greetings from the Simulacrum, where we explore the worlds within worlds all around the world. Today we're talking about Paramount Ranch. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. It's in the background of countless films and TV shows, from The X-Files to Lizzie McGuire.
Well, because this is dorkful. It's massively lame. It's the definition of cheese master.
To The Girl Next Door to Westworld. This stretch of terrain in the Santa Monica Mountains is a shapeshifter. At once a cinematic simulacrum and a literal park for hikers and horse lovers. Welcome to the great set of the Western Imaginary. The story begins in 1921 when Jesse L. Lasky, early Hollywood pioneer and future co-founder of Paramount Pictures, first leased the land near Agora Hills, California. Lasky, alongside names like Cecil B. DeMille,
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
and Samuel Goldfish, soon to be Goldwyn, had already helped launch the feature film era with The Squash Man in 1914, a silent western that was not filmed on this site of Paramount Ranch, but set the thematic tone for what the land would later become. It was one of the first full-length films shot in Hollywood, and, controversially for its time, it told an interracial love story. The state of California still banned interracial marriage in 1914, with a notable exception for Native Americans, and yet The Squash Man starred Lillian Margaret St. Cyr, a Winnebago actress and one of the earliest Native American women in showbiz. Tragically, her character dies by suicide after surrendering her child to her beloved, the white protagonist who leaves her to return to England. Lasky and DeMille scouted far and wide to film that debut, from Flagstaff, Arizona to San Pedro, California, seeking epic backdrops. Perhaps it was this journey that instilled in Lasky the value of cinematic landscapes, nudging him towards acquiring the future Paramount Ranch. Long before the cameras rolled, the land belonged to the Chumash people, who lived throughout the Santa Monica Mountains until they were displaced during Spanish colonization in the 18th century. In the 1920s and 30s, Paramount invested about $60,000 transforming the land into a western town. Over 100 films were shot there during what became the studio's golden era. As Russell Lewis wrote for the Los Angeles Times in 1988, with its broad grassland, its stream and open roadbed for riding, the site proved an ideal film location. With a touch of movie magic, one location could become 1,000 worlds. The diverse landscape, the National Park Service notes, offered filmmakers the freedom to create distant locales, such as colonial Massachusetts to ancient China in The Adventures of Marco Polo in 1938, a South Seas island in Ebb Tide in 1937, and numerous Western locations, including San Francisco in Wells Fargo in 1937. Only in Hollywood would a government agency brag about how useful its parks are. Only in Hollywood would a government agency brag about how... Only in Hollywood... I don't have like a persona anymore. I don't even know how to like perform this. Really? I think I'm like just presenting like a school project. Hi, cat. Only in Hollywood would a government agency brag about how useful its parks are to showbiz, because there, even public service comes with a call sheet. An image of the cowboy era may have been its most prominent usage, though. As Emma Sarapo writes for Saving Places, with that many movies shaping the public imagination, that landscape became the common idea of the West. The fact that Paramount Ranch's celluloid ubiquity has cemented a sort of caricatured public perception of the Western era is, of course, a rather postmodern notion. The French theorist Jean Baudrillard argues that our experience of reality is more and more shaped by the proliferation of signs that refer to something else. One definition of simulacra is that it is a question of substituting the signs of the real for... It's a question of substituting the signs of the real for the real. Paramount Ranch is not a perfect replica of any actual place. It's a pseudo-Western town made up of all the signs of the West, reinforcing our image of that time and place through filmic repetition. When the real is no longer what it was, nostalgia assumes its full meaning. There is a plethora of myths of origin and of signs of reality, a plethora of truth, of secondary objectivity and authenticity, Baudrillard writes, predicting the swaths of influencers who would one day visit the ranch to immerse themselves in a world both made up and material. Additional reading could be Marc Augier's idea of a non-place, or Deleuze's idea of any space, whatever. But when the studio system began to evolve with the advent of World War II, Paramount auctioned most of its holdings to someone named Iser Wickham. I couldn't find any tea on him, but keep in mind that until the series takes off, I can't afford to do deep dives at the level I'd like. So I don't know who he is. But a few years later, William Hertz ambles in, a 45-year-old retiree and Wild Western fanboy from New Jersey. His son and collaborator Robert said at a 2007 conference about his family's contribution to Hollywood, possessed a dream to be a cowboy. Wealthy in the post-war era from doing something related to scrap metal recycling, Hertz bought 326 acres of the land from Wickham and initially had the idea to create a dude ranch. But then, Vicky Talbot writes, upon completing the process, they placed an ad in the film industry publications Daily Variety and The Hollywood Reporter. Within 1 week, the old Paramount Ranch was back in business. The site reopened, this time furnished with repurposed sets from RKO and Fox, bringing films like Fancy Pants and The Lonesome Trail to life. By 1956, the ranch had expanded to 526 acres, and after Hertz fell sick and had to abdicate the place, sold for $212,000. The ranch briefly traded horses for horsepower. In the later 1950s, it became a doomed makeshift racetrack. On June 15, 1957, several crashes marred a race, leading to multiple hospitalizations. Later, in December 1957, came a string of tragedies. Hugh Woods crashed his Corvette into a guardrail, impaling his leg. Just one race later, George Sherrard's Jaguar met the same fate, with grimmer results. The steel bar pierced through him, killing him instantly. Rolf Rolth flipped his car after hitting a hail bay, suffering a broken wrist. And finally, Jim Firestone's crash ended in catastrophe. His flipped car ejected him and then crushed his skull, killing him. It was a track record no one wanted, and soon after, the racetrack was abandoned. That said, staged racing fared better. Films like The Devil's Hairpin, Thunder Alley, and Red Line shot racing scenes on the grounds without any fatalities. From the 1960s to the early 1980s, the ranch's fate was uncertain. Sources are murky about this transitional era. In 1980, the National Park Service acquired the land, rebuilding the western town in partnership with the Hertz family, and reopening the ranch to the public in 1985. Since then, it has served a double purpose: an accessible park and a go-to set for productions like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman in the 90s, Carnival in the early 2000s.
Thing is shot in the Los Angeles area, and we had California mountains in our background. We had the task of actually modifying the environment and digitally removing mountains.
And Westworld in the later 2010s. A sci-fi drama set in a futuristic theme park where lifelike robots known as hosts cater to human desires. As the hosts become sentient, the line between artificial and real blurs, sparking a revolution. Westworld also shot many scenes in a similar park called Melody Ranch, which, like Paramount Ranch, is set up to look like a western town, but unlike it, is singularly an official studio set and not open to the public. Still, one of Westworld's most crucial early motifs is the chapel, which is first seen as a steeple pointing out of the ground, suggesting a buried part of the theme park's town and past. Dolores, the main character of the show, played by Evan Rachel Wood, has recurring flashbacks to this mysterious church. While on her journey through the theme park, she is gradually guided back to its location, realizing that this is where, long ago, her creator committed a violent act in an attempt to save her and the other hosts. The church was at the center of the park's maze-like design, guiding her toward the truth about her traumatic past and her own capacity for consciousness. Westworld and Paramount Ranch both function as simulacra, fabricated spaces that simulate a mythologized version of the American West, divorced from historical reality. Paramount Ranch, a longtime film set, constructed a cinematic West that shaped public imagination more than the real frontier did. Over time, it became a tourist site, allowing visitors to walk through a version of the West built from movie tropes. Westworld, as a fictional theme park, adds another layer. It offers guests the chance to live out Western fantasies in an artificial world populated by hyper-realistic robots. Like the ranch, its setting is not based on history, but on layers of representation and performance. That's why it's pretty fitting that Westworld was shot at Paramount Ranch. It's a site of myth on top of media on top of myth. As Baudrillard wrote, a space where nostalgia assumes its full meaning. Many of the online reviews of the ranch, from Google to TripAdvisor, most of which rate it highly, refer to Westworld and the other productions that shot there. What is this impulse to pay pilgrimage to sites seen in media, which Dr. Glenn Croy and Sine Heitman call film-induced tourism? The business scholar Dr. Brandon Caravan writes, at a time when life has increasingly become stagecraft, involving a blending of reality and mass media experience, fantasy proneness has the potential to drive future travel decisions to a much greater extent than before. Social media only intensifies this phenomenon. After all, visiting the site of a movie that you love and documenting your presence in an imagined world that other fans can recognize can be a way to disclose self-messages and to construct positive self-representations, to produce, perform, and publicize self-imagining. Now here's where I'm curious. Does this feel true for you? Have you ever wanted to visit a real place seen in media? I know that when I was a Westworld superfan, I wanted to go to Paramount Ranch and see for myself the land where one of my favorite stories had been told. It would maybe provide a sort of behind-the-scenes thrill. I also imagine myself posing for photos in front of its most familiar landmarks to almost, as Canavan would put it, authenticate my proximity to a piece of media that I loved, and then share those photos online with my friends in a way that would further curate my self-concept as a fan of excellent sci-fi. Canavan suggests that this whole cycle is actually a post-postmodern phenomenon and provides this handy graph to explicate cultural evolution from the pre-modern to the modern to the postmodern, writing that the post-postmodern is a matter of unreal narratives that alter and become reality. The real and the fake are combined in crafting synthetic reality. Myth is engaged with and elaborated to craft self-convincing narratives, as these and convincing performances constitute authenticity rather than facts or cultural customs. Post-postmodern authentication is a more iterative performance process. This involves a return to structure as a means of supporting explorations of meaning. There's something special about the fact that Paramount Ranch is a rare case of public space, owned by the National Park Service, making movie magic accessible to any curious fans who seek to explore meaning with its medium. Unfortunately, the ranch was devastated by the Woolsey fire in November 2018, though the Westworld Church did survive. The Park Service and the community are in ongoing efforts to rebuild, but as of 2025, parts of the set have been reconstructed using historical photos and architectural plans, though many reviews of the site from hopeful visitors describe it now as a ghost town. Thanks for watching. Greetings from the Simulacrum. See you next month.